This is the first time I'm ever going to say this.
You referenced some childhood trauma. We're in the military, PTSD, depression, anxiety. You checked a lot of boxes.
Yeah, I'm a walking shit show. Yeah. You know? I see these Navy SEALs and these special forces guys that are going on these retreats to Peru or going to Mexico to go do Ibogaine. And these guys are talking about their childhood traumas and their military traumas. And I'm like, if they can own it and talk about it, I sure the hell can own my shit and talk about it. We do a jump into Spokane Air Force Base. As we do this night jump, the Air Force guys flew the wrong goddamn way. My chute ended up collapsing. I had my hand on the reserve. Next thing I know, everything's black. Woke up and everything from the waist down is completely numb. You know, you don't talk about being in pain. I just started pounding pain pills. That's where everything went south for me. Pain pills I'm drinking and I'm fighting in the barracks now. And I'm stealing from the PX. So I get kicked out of Ranger Battalion. I was in so much pain and just negative space and negative self-talk. I don't have any tools. I don't know anything. She's like, are you open to ketamine? I'm like, if it's petrified dog shit on the ground, I'm into it. Because I'm tired of living like this. So I went and did ketamine. And that's what catapulted me forward. I'm in a clear headspace. I've never had more purpose or drive in my life than I have right now. So that's why I'm very brash and outspoken about psychedelics, because we know they work. We know the research is there. We're talking about set and setting, therapeutic uses and integration and the whole 9 yards, and speaking up to not only erase the psychedelic stigma, but erase the mental health stigma along with it, and saying these things can help.
McLean, welcome to Austin.
Cal, I appreciate it, buddy. It's first time to Austin. So what a way to bring in Austin, I guess, for me and Mental Joe. So
I know. And that we had a little rain for you today, which we've needed because we've had a lot of, like, we're in pollen season. So hopefully that kind of cleans up the trees, but.
Good. Yeah. Arizona, it's supposed to be on Easter. It's supposed to be 94 degrees on Sunday. So we're already in the hot season.
We've hit a few of those days recently. We've hit into the 90s, a little humid. And now I think this rain's kind of getting us into those nice 80s.
Kind of push that out. How's that humidity treat you? Can you handle that? I can't handle the humidity.
Well, fortunately, we usually get out of here for the summer. But when we get back in mid-August, when the kids start school, we've still got 4 to 6 weeks of humidity. It's just grindy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll take the dry.
Yeah.
I don't like being wet all the time. So
yeah. Good. I'm a sweater too. Yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, I look at the sun and I sweat. You know, the fat kid in me is like, whoa, bro, what are we doing? Yes.
So man, you are on such a mission. We got connected through an old dear friend of mine from Chicago, Jen Ismar. And she's like, I know you get a lot of podcast requests, but you know, this guy is doing some incredible work. I think you'd really love it. She gave me a little bit of background and I clicked on the link and wow, like this is important stuff that you're doing. And generally, I don't generally bring on people that I don't know or that I don't initiate. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit rare for me to say yes, but it was a full yes. I was telling you earlier before we got on that I have a difficulty with my yeses and nos, but I was in a good place with my yeses then.
Well, I'm glad you were in a good place with your yes, because this alone, I just hold space for us and bring us on, right? Because I say we're a mom and pop, just starting. We're moving this thing, but the momentum that's starting to come behind this movement is pretty cool. So for someone like yourself to allow me to come out here and share this space and kind of speak our story and where we're trying to go with this is huge. So I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. So I'm glad you're in that yes space.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm excited to really learn a lot more about it because you do a great job of kind of outlining your history and your story and your, a bit of your wife's story. But there's a lot more in there that hopefully we can get to today and really give people an understanding of the challenges, not only that you and your wife have faced, but fuck, dude, so many, I don't need to tell you, but so many people. And it's that thing that we keep very close to us because we're afraid to share for many, many reasons. But
yeah, I think for me that I call it living in the gray. I lived in the gray for 22 plus years, from being on painkillers from the jump I burnt in on to being on SSRIs, the whole 9 yards. Now that I'm on this other side of what I call the mountain, that negative talk isn't there so hard anymore. I see kind of the path and the process of where we're going. So for me, I want to be able to say, hey, like, we don't need to live this way. There's no reason we got to live this way. And so hopefully, the guy from Texas or the gal in Kansas, I'm a relatable guy in that sense of like, hey, look at this guy. Like, he's not fully crazy. And he's doing some psychedelics to get over these humps. Let's make this stuff more mainstream. And so that's what we're trying to do with apparel.
It's funny as you're saying that. So many people ask me when I say I have a podcast, what's it about? What do you do? And it's like, you're kind of the perfect guest because the idea is to open people up, to let them know we're all a little bit fucked up.
100%.
And so
100%.
how can we give people permission to explore that and then give them tools, see what resonates with them. And so they get to choose their own journey versus how they get, unfortunately, just thrust into the medical system, which, I mean, you've had a deep experience. So like maybe let's back up a little bit.
100%.
Your childhood, you referenced some childhood trauma.
Yeah.
You were in the military, PTSD. You've got some OCD, depression, anxiety. You checked a lot of boxes.
Yeah,
look at you now.
I'm a walking shit show.
Yeah, like I said, the perfect guest.
Yes.
Because we don't, you know what? Yeah. That's it. Like, it just make us all more human, more relatable, and just open doors. So I'm really excited about really you sharing your story today.
Yeah, and I've always told people, if I can own my shit, hence the hat, right? Own your shit. If I can own it, share it, that's going to allow somebody else's boundaries, brick walls, whatever they have up to say, all right, if this guy's doing it, I can do it. And what kind of catapulted me into this stuff and even the holistic side of just healing in general was, I see these Navy SEALs and these special forces guys that are going on these retreats to Peru, or, they're going to Mexico to go do ibogaine or, bufo or whatever. And these guys are talking about their childhood traumas and their military traumas. And I'm like, I don't have half the basket of bullshit these guys have. So if they can own it and talk about it, I sure the hell can own my shit and talk about it. So that's where we're, again, trying to go with this and let people know, like, let go of that stuff. Stop talking about it. Don't let it hold you back, because we got one life. There's no pause button. There's no rewind button. That's it. It's forward. So let's all be in a better place, and let's get through this shit together.
Yeah. So let's talk about your childhood a little bit. What was the stuff that was really hard?
Yeah. So grew up extremely poor, to the fact where at Christmas and Thanksgivings and stuff, we're in line to get food. Yeah. I remember that. As a kid, you don't think that you're in a line to get free food. Like, oh, hey, cool, we're at this event and we're getting a basket of food to go home.
You have no other context for it. This is what you've known. Yeah. Exactly. Interesting.
So my mom and dad ended up getting divorced. I think I was around 7. My dad was an extremely verbal and physically abusive alcoholic. And then my mom, right? She's got to raise 3 kids on her own. God bless her soul. Right. And I can see it now. My mom lived numb for a lot of years. Right. And she did the best she could with the tools that she had from her parents, which we all know a lot of those folks in that World War II era, it was alcohol. That's how they numbed. So we get through there. Mom's working 5, 6 jobs at a time. I'm cleaning offices at night with mom. And I'll talk to her and she's still angry about it. She's very prideful. I'm like, Mom, I was spending time with you. I got to clean offices. I'm OCD as shit.
Oh, that's right in your wheelhouse.
So guess what? These people love their offices. They're like, they got this 7, 8-year-old kid that is dialing in their offices, Yeah. And so I looked at that kind of stuff. Not a big deal. I was telling Rob, we were joking about it, but it's a story my mom hates. We lived down the street from like a QT, a convenience store. Okay. We had this alley that the Frito-Lay truck would come down and he'd give this little honk. And we'd run out the back door, because what he did is when he went down to the store, he threw the day old stuff in the garbage.
Wow.
So then I would jump in and I'm throwing Frito-Lays, Cheetos, whatever I can get my hands on, out. And brother and sister are garbing it up and they're running.
Gold.
Taking it home, gold.
Yes.
Then I'll take it to school and I'm like, oh, chocolate milk Friday. I'm on that welfare punch card. I don't get chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I'm going to trade some Doritos for chocolate milk. And we're going to make this shit happen.
Hell yeah.
So my mom would say we probably rough upbringing with the divorce and everything like that. But to me, I didn't know any different. It was just being a kid. But recently had some really vivid memories of my dad beating me, and coming through that side of it and recognizing it. And what I recognized is I didn't grow up in a safe space. Again, nothing to mom, right? She did what she could with what she had. But that told me I was always fighting out of a corner. So it was kind of like, I'm going to get you before you get me, because I'm tired of being hurt. So that was my mentality my whole life. Go, go, go. I'm going to punch out of corners. Tired of being abused. I don't fish because my dad used to hit me with fishing poles. So I kind of let that go. Hunting I didn't really gravitate towards hunting. Back of the brain was, this guy beats me. He's got a loaded gun. We're going to go hunt. Fuck that. I'm out. So childhood wise, it was from a abusive standpoint of my father was not great. But a kid being a kid, I think I had the best life. Be home by the time the lights come on. We played hard outside. We didn't have all this technology and all this bullshit gadgets these poor kids have now. So yeah, it was rough. Super, super poor. I know my mom was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I can think back to, when LA Gear was such a cool shoe to have, right? And putting the stuff on layaway. And I didn't understand what layaway was.
We did a little layaway back in Maine. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that I'm at where I'm at in my life and not being a victim or anything of that matter, and looking back and going, that's part of the story. That's part of what's making me drive forward in these other processes that we're doing now. Because I know there's millions of others that have the exact same, if not close to replicated story, but they don't know how to break through. So childhood wise, it was really rough. My one thing I hold on to, and I feel that I'm getting back to that person. And I say this not to brag, but to say it as it's finally bringing me back to a point of who the foundation of who Chad really is. And I wasn't a powerful athlete. I wasn't the quarterback or anything like that. I stopped playing sports when I was a sophomore.
Was there any reason you stopped?
Yeah. I didn't put the time in, for one. I was a hell of a wrestler back in the day. I took city, did all that. The high school is actually monitoring my progress because they're like excited for me to come and be a wrestler in that weight class because they didn't have anybody. Sadly, I stopped wrestling because I was embarrassed to wear the singlet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I was scrawny as hell. I was 100 pounds soaking wet.
Shit.
Yeah, maybe 5'2". I was a tiny little dude.
Yeah.
And I'm going into high school with all these women that are developed, right? And I'm like, what the hell? I'm not going out there with my little peanut in a singlet to wrestle. Not doing it. So I went into basketball because that's what the cool kids do.
Fuck, dude, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
How many other kids didn't wrestle for that reason? Makes total sense.
For that reason. So went and played basketball, made the freshman team, made the sophomore team. And then I got cut my junior year. And then after that, I'm like, I'm done. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to party. I was a C student. I was a social bug. Like I was just not in, none of it interested me. I could kill it in the gym. I was a hell of a line dancer,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, sports I love sports, but I didn't put the time in. And plus I didn't have the money to go do traveling, baseball teams or basketball teams or anything like that. So I was like a kid on the outside looking in that wanted to do this stuff, but I didn't have a father figure to be like, all right, we need to go outside and shoot hoops for an hour. Instead, I'm like, no, I'm going to go to the park and do the swing set.
Yep. And your mom was
and she's
working her ass off.
Yeah. So I didn't have that. So back to the foundation of where I really feel is I won homecoming king.
No shit.
And I wasn't the star quarterback. I wasn't the star basketball player. And the reason I say that now is I'm reflecting back on that time of, When you're homecoming king, the entire school votes on you, votes to who that person's going to be. So I looked at it and I was like, hey, people voted for you because you were a fucking cool cat, not because you were the head quarterback. So let's get back to that guy. And that's where I feel I'm starting to come through by owning my shit, by recognizing my downfalls and turning those downfalls and failures into opportunities and learning lessons, as opposed to having that internal talk of you're not worthy, you're fat, you're gross, nobody loves you. So that is a pivotal moment for me. It's weird. I can look at it now and go, no, people liked you and they voted for you because of you, not because you were good at a sport or anything else. They liked you for who you were, poor or not.
How long ago was that when you had that aha moment?
That was probably a year ago.
Damn.
Probably a year ago.
And then soon after, Mental Joe was birthed.
Yeah. Probably my 6th or 7th ketamine session. Clear as day. Go start an apparel company that talks about mental health and non-traditional methods. It was like on a damn movie screen.
Yeah.
And I get out of that and I talk to the wife. I'm like, I guess I'm going to start an apparel company.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? She's like, I know you like swag, but what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So then, talk her through that path and so forth. And I ended up getting laid off last year.
What were you doing?
So I did corporate real estate for almost 20 years.
Yep.
Was at Zillow.
Yep.
Was really good at it. I've always been really good at real estate and negotiations. I've always been like a top 3% guy. Always just killed it. I was just really good. But I had that drive it home syndrome as opposed to kill them with kindness. Let's talk about it. I was a guy like, I'm going to beat all you assholes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in the top 3% and I'm going to make those, 5 bonus figure monthly checks.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I was poor. So I was like, as fast as I can make money, let's go. So there's no politically correct things in emails. It was just like, let's drive the dagger as hard as we could. So we get out of that environment and we launched Mental Joe May 1st of last year. So I got laid off April 21st. 2 weeks later, boom, website's up. I'm calling manufacturers. I'm trying to find anything American made because I want our apparel to be 100% American made. Ball caps are really, really hard. There's actually a company here in Crowley, Texas that does all baseball caps and 100% American made. I'm trying to work with them a little bit.
What's the cost difference between?
There's not a huge cost difference. That's what people don't understand. Like our t-shirts, our private label t-shirts for a tri-blend. I like the tri-blend t-shirts that we have. We've got a lot of really good feedback on those.
And I would just say give percentages. We don't need to let people know. It's the apparel game.
Yeah. But you're probably looking, it's not more than 20%, 30%.
Yeah.
There's no way. So for me, I'm like, okay, I want to put the best product forward as I can. And I want it to be American made. I could be like everybody else and go get a shirt from China or Bangladesh or do that. But I want to put quality out there. We need to bring American made back to America. Hence Jocko Willenick doing Origin and them. I love what those guys are doing. Maybe there's a partnership down the road one of these days.
Well, I'm not familiar with this. I know who Jocko is, but what's Origin?
So Jocko partnered up with a buddy of his. And so they, up in Maine, they have this company called Origin.
Maine, damn.
Yeah. And so they do some kick-ass jeans. They do gis. They do custom boots. They've got some t-shirts. One of my goals was I bought a 34-2 in Origin jeans. I just got fitted those bad boys yesterday. So I'm like,
let's go. I noticed the picture on the website. How much have you lost? How much weight have you lost?
I am down 50 pounds.
Holy shit.
50 pounds. So,
which is a lot of fat because as we both know, muscle is heavier.
Mm-hmm. And to give you an idea,
wow.
This is a large t-shirt.
Dude.
I've always been an XL. So this is my first time in a large t-shirt. And for you ladies, I'm married. I have medium underwear on, medium-sized underwear. So I'm like, shit, yeah, man.
And that's just because the ass is shrunk, not because of anything else.
That's it. I get that angry inch going on,
That's right. You and I are both a couple Irish guys.
We're screwed from birth, So we want to be 100% American made. We're trying to partner up with those manufacturers that are here. to bring not only top quality, but American made. And the price difference isn't that much crazier.
Right.
And I know where the product's coming from. It's not slave labor. It's not something else. I don't have to pay all these other fees of it coming across on a boat and whatnot. The one big problem is a lot of the facilities, like the hat company I was talking about, they just don't have the bandwidth.
Yep.
So their minimums are quite large.
Okay.
So it's like for a guy like me, I'm going to be able to meet those minimums in a year. Easy. That's the projection. And then I can switch our hats over to an American made hat, work with a company that's right out of here in Texas. And I can't wait for that day. But I'm not about the greed part of it. I want a good product. We're going to put it out correctly.
Yeah. And that's the apparel game. I think a lot of people don't understand. I certainly didn't understand until we started doing our own. You can buy a lot and just be holding a lot of inventory. So like meeting those minimums, you really, I think it's wise to just kind of pump the brakes until you feel like, we're going to sell these out, or we're going to move a big chunk of them.
Yeah. And we had the logo, and the tagline, and everybody loved that because we essentially launched it, Mental Joe, as a TRE. So I'm a TRE provider. So that was our
trauma releasing exercises for those people who don't know.
Correct. Invented, if you want to call it that, by Dr. David Berselli, who is also in the Phoenix, Arizona area as well. We talk probably once a quarter. We're going to put on a big TRE kind of weekend in Phoenix. We're talking about that to get a bunch of people together, do that.
And for people who aren't familiar with it or haven't experienced it, I had a guest on, actually, I think Matt was my probably the second one I recorded. I don't think he came out second, but Matt Fisher, I spent a lot of time doing TRE with him, and he studied under Berselli, and just fascinating work.
Amazing. And the same thing, what catapulted me into TRE was a video that I found on YouTube by a gentleman named Mikel Vega. Mikel is a former Navy SEAL. This dude's been in movies. I think he's a director of Modern Warfare, the video game. But he did TRE. And so I saw his video and I was like, same thing. Like, if this tip of the spear guy can own his shit and do TRE, I can't die. I sure the hell can do that. So did TRE, was some of the best sleep I've ever had in my life. From that point, talked to Dr. David Berselli, and he was like, we need more men in this space and more men that can coach this. So that's when I became a TRE provider. And through that, we're like, okay, we want to launch a nonprofit for this. What are we going to do with it? We like to conquer the battle within. People love our logo. And I was
dynamite.
I'm like, let's not get crazy with the name, Mental Joe. Your average Joe. Let's talk about mental, because that's what we're trying to talk about. That's what we're all trying to get over, this mountain of the negative bullshit that we tell ourselves. So Mental Joe, real simple. Like, let's not get crazy with it. So that's kind of the meaning behind the Mental Joe, GI Joe, right? For my service folks. And then Joe, your average Joe. So we launched that. So try thinking about talking about the nervous system and TRE with a bunch of alpha males.
Yeah.
Didn't go over real well.
No.
They're not going to want to lay on the ground and shake.
No, hell no.
So that's when we rebranded and became Mental Joe Apparel through my ketamine experience.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you really focus on the mental side, and to get to that is to release the trauma through a physical expression of it. And I mean, obviously, we know the connection of, mind, body, spirit and all that, but it is really so much of that stuff is stuck within us. I know for me that I had a lot kind of in my kind of solar plexus, and it was just so knotted up there.
Yeah. And I didn't understand the science behind it. And I still don't, right? I'm still a novice, and I tell people that because I'm learning every single day, but I had no idea what a psoas muscle was, let alone that this muscle is one of the largest muscle groups in our body that connects our lower half and our upper half together. And this damn thing is holding onto our stress and trauma. What a novel idea. Let's shake that thing and let's get rid of this crap.
How much of the human body do you have to is that part of it? Because on the one hand, I'm not someone who kind of geeks out on all that stuff. So if am going through a session and, Matt is one of those guys who knows the whole body, but I wouldn't need to know exactly what it is as long as, it's a black box for me. Like,
that's it.
Does it work?
Yeah. That's where I was. Does it work? How do I get there? Like, I don't need to know all the background. Just put me in place and let's roll. And, it's a succession of exercises, very easy to memorize. I kind of call it a mix between a meditation and a yoga. Meditation didn't talk to me because my mind was going 100 miles an hour. Yoga, I'm about as flexible as a 90-year-old man. So I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So TRE it hit that middle button for me. And as I teach these classes in Phoenix, the people that have releases during these, and before I get really nervous, like, what are you crying about, you weirdo? Yeah. Now I'm like, no, I'm here to hold space and let these people release this shit because it needs to be released. So yeah, I'm the Chad 3 years ago to the Chad now.
Isn't it something?
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Let's back up a little bit. Why'd you choose the military?
Well, there's some stats out there that a lot of people that go into the military usually come from broken homes. And I think that was it. I didn't have the confidence to go into college. One, we couldn't afford it. I didn't have the drive for it. Like I said, I was a C to C minus student. I did enough just to get by.
Yeah. 4+ years more of school is not appetizing.
It was not going to work. So my junior year, the summer of my junior year, I went and signed to go in the Army. And I was just it's 11 Bravo, which is just a grunt. I didn't have any special attachments or anything to it. I just went in as your regular infantry grunt. So the cap and gown, I barely hit the ground and I'm already on a flight to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Shit.
Here we go. Rock and roll. No idea what I'm doing. Not a freaking clue. I'm 18 years old. I'm first time away from home. Holy shit.
Where did you grow up?
Billings, Montana.
Okay. Damn.
The so-called big city up there.
Wow.
I think it's like 110,000 people now. When I grew up, it was probably 70 to 80,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's amassing quite a bit.
I imagine over the last 3 years, that's one of those
wild
areas that people are flocking to.
Yeah. I mean, when I grew up, there wasn't, the rich people in town, right, had the $1 million homes. Yeah. Now you go up there and it's like everything's $1 million home.
Damn.
It is crazy. I mean, you still got your pockets, right? I mean, it's a city or a town. I don't even want to call it a city. It's a town. But yeah, I grew up in Billings, Montana.
Okay, so you're fresh. I mean, you're 18 years old. I mean, I have a son who's 20. I have a son who's 17. My 17-year-old is a junior. I can just imagine like, whoa, just dropping. And he's traveled a bit. And so it's a little bit different. Like, but you're just, boom, you land.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, like super excited, nervous. This is definitely what I need to do. Did I make a mistake? Like, what's going on in an 18-year-old's head?
None of that. I think it was an escape.
Yeah.
I think it was like, I've got to get away from this. There's more to life. And this is going to be my ticket to go do something else. My whole goal was to be a tip of the spear guy. That was it. So get down there, go to basic. About 8-9 weeks into basic, they start handing out airborne slots. And the drill sergeant ended up calling my name. And it was funny because he even looked at the sheet. He goes, my last name back then was Elder. Well, I'll explain that as well. He goes, Chad Elder. Who the fuck is this guy? Do we even have an elder in the platoon? And that's I'm telling you, I just put my head down. I did what they told us. I didn't want to buck the palace compared to how I am now. Now I'm brash, like let's fucking rock and roll.
I love it.
But I got an airborne slot. So went to airborne school after basic, and then the Ranger liaison came down. So the 75th Ranger Regiment is down in Fort Benning, Georgia. It's, I want to say maybe a mile and a half from airborne school. And Ranger liaison came down, and I was like, oh, I'll go to this meeting. See what this is about. So he talks about it. This guy's got this black beret. He's got his BDUs that are really tight. And I'm like, this dude looks cool. Screw it. I'm in. So I signed the paperwork. I'm in. We graduate airborne school. And airborne school, it's really, really old. If I remember correctly, I think there's 3 tiers to the barracks. And then you have this huge kind of like grassy, formation area.
When you say 3 tiers, what do you mean? Like 3 floors or
3
floors?
Beds? Yeah. Well, 2 dudes to a bunk as well in all that stuff. But yeah, we're a 3-story building,
Gotcha.
Essentially. And so we're standing out in formation and all of our duffel bags are over here and you got guys throwing duffel bags on this and we're already getting smoked. And for those that don't know what smoked means, like you're doing physical activity, push-ups, lunges, and they're just whooping us right in. We just walked off the podiums from graduating airborne school and these dudes are already grilling us. And you can see kids like they're looking out the window and they're calling out. And these Ranger cadre are just like, get in the fucking room. If you didn't want to be part of this, shut your. I'm like, oh, maybe I signed up for the wrong shit.
Yeah.
So then they take us and we book it. I ended up getting thrown a reflective vest to be a road guard. So they get us in formation and it's a dead fucking sprint. It's a 75th Ranger Regiment. And so the guys like me that had the vests on, you have to run up in front of the formation, block the roads, let the formation go, get back in and get to the front to do the next row.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here going, already, I'm like, do I just quit? This is stupid. What the fuck am I doing? Because in airborne school, the physical activity is really, really weak. So you're out of shape anyways.
Oh, shit.
Because there's a run. It's called the airborne shuffle. And you literally are running like a 10-minute pace.
No.
And so at a mile, we're probably running 6-minute mile and we're clipping. Made it, got there. We're in Ranger Regiment, which is, so back then, I think it's called RASP now, and I'm not really sure what it stands for, but right now when I was in, it's Ranger Indoctrination Program, which is RIP. It's roughly a month long, and then you've got all the forward processing stuff. So I was there for 7 weeks because you have about 3 weeks where you're getting gear ready. They're doing all the intake because you got to go through a top secret back. You have to have clearance to even go through this program. So there's even guys that got booted because of felonies they got in Korea or Germany or whatever. So yeah, we're already losing guys. We haven't even started anything yet. So get through RIP or start RIP. And to me, it was easy. I was just like, I just got to put my head down and do physical stuff. Just you're yelling at me. I just got to do that. Okay, fair. Like I'm used to getting kind of beat up. I'm used to the trauma stuff. I'm used to working hard. Like, let's do this. I remember as clean as day. There's a gentleman by the name of Jeff Struker. Have you ever seen the movie Black Hawk Down?
Yes.
So the guy that was in the Humvee named Struker and all the guys that got killed in his Humvee, remember they went back to the airbase, sprayed down the Humvee, loaded it with more dudes and went out. Jeff Struker was one of our instructors. That year, he won Best Ranger competition, which is one of the hardest competition, civilian or military wise. Like you literally, I think it's 4 or 5 days of just like no sleep, jumping out of planes, road marching, shooting, you name it. So he won this competition. So this dude is chiseled to the 9, like an Olympic athlete almost. And he goes, guys, I'm a reborn again Christian because of Mogadishu. I'm not going to yell at you guys. I'm not going to cuss. If I raise my voice, it's go time. And this dude is we're just doing flutter kicks at like 5 a.m. and he's whooping us. We're on this run. I think our class was roughly 200 guys. We ended up finishing with maybe 30.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big cut. It's not your buds or it's not your special forces selection, right? But it is a way to weed guys out to get the cream to the crop, essentially, or cream to the top. So made it through there. And then they're like, well, where do you want to go? So first bat is in Savannah. Third bat's in Fort Benning, Georgia. And then second bat's in Fort Lewis, Washington. And me, I was like, well, shit, man, I'm a country bumpkin kid from Montana. I want to be close to home. I want to go to second bat. The second bat was kind of known for that, for all these kind of roughneck kind of country bumpkin dudes to be out there. It was kind of the lone child, right? You weren't next to headquarters.
Yeah.
So you could get away with a little bit more shit out in Fort Lewis. So then made it out to Fort Lewis, went through that. And that's where things kind of unraveled for me. Unraveled there.
Because it sounds pretty typical I mean, not typical making it through the different stages. Certainly the 15% of you that made it through. But yeah. So what year is this?
Yeah. So this is, I'm in the winter 96 to almost beginning of 97.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
So I get to battalion, everything's going golden. I'm in weapons platoon, which is full of mortars, sniper section. I was a Gustav guy, which is an 84 millimeter cordless rifle. This thing is a tank killer. That's really what it's used for.
Jesus.
And so we're killing it, man. I was doing really well. In fact, I was doing so well that I was getting ready to transition over to sniper section. So things were on the path, right? We do a jump into Spokane. It's Fairchild Air Force Base. We do a night jump. As we do this night jump, the Air Force guys flew the wrong goddamn way. And so what I mean is they flew over the hangars and the planes as opposed to the actual landing strip. So as we're jumping out in the middle of the night on this jump, dudes are hitting hangars, dudes are hitting planes. Yeah, dudes are getting fucked up on this jump. Bad. My parachute the air ended up getting stolen from my chute. And to this day, I still try to like hone in like where I burnt in at. But I don't know if it was 50 feet, 10 feet, 5. I don't remember.
What's burnt in mean?
My chute. So what happened is my chute ended up collapsing.
Okay. That's got to be super rare.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. On these big jumps, I mean,
so someone else comes and...
Yeah, there was a guy below me. Yep. I saw the chute below me. And in airborne school, they teach you got to run off the chute. So here I am trying to run off this dude's chute.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I look up and my chute is starting to collapse.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. So I get ready to have my hand on the reserve.
Okay.
Thinking, okay, I'm going to have to pull this thing. The next thing I know, everything's black.
Oh my God.
Woke up, threw up, and everything from the waist down is completely numb. I don't feel anything. So I'm laying there and I'm tapping. I'm like, okay, I had no compound fractures. Like everything's good. Tried standing up, ended up falling. And I was like, dude, I got to get up. Like I got to get to my guys. Right. Ended up finally coming to, standing up. Everything was still blurry. And then everything's kind of from this point, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember talking to one of the sniper section guys because they come out on dirt bikes. I remember seeing the C-130 over there with the drop down on the back ass end of it. So these guys could come out with, with their bikes and armored vehicles and things of that nature. And the guy's name was Gibson. And he's like, hey man, the Gustav guys are over there. You got to go that way. So I finally get over there and it's done. They ended up calling the training mission because so many dudes got messed up that, I mean, we had guys that literally got out of the military, got med boarded because of that jump. So we get back to Fort Lewis and I'm in stupid pain. I don't know what's going on. Back in 97, it's pretty easy to get painkillers, really easy.
By the way, when it first happened and you came to, did you think you were paralyzed?
I didn't know. Because it was.
Did it cross your mind, or you were still so much like,
yeah,
what the fuck just happened? And
yeah, I think there was a lot of what the fuck just happened, but I think also it was, this could be it. Like I don't feel anything. What is going on? Am I paralyzed? Right?
Sure.
But again, started getting a little bit of sensation back. I could kind of walk. Got over there, but anyways, I don't even remember getting on the goddamn plane to go back to Fort Lewis. In a lot of pain, they gave us a good chunk of downtime because dudes got pretty fucked up on that jump. And there's these little towns outside of bases across America. And everyone knows if you go to a base, there's these little towns on the outside and you can get just about anything you want.
Oh, sure.
So lo and behold, this guy, because I'm in a lot of pain and you don't talk about being in pain or anything like that because now you're a pussy if you do that. I just started pounding pain pills. So then I started my paycheck. That's all it went to. It went from 200 milligrams, 300 milligrams to 1,000 to 1,200. And I knew I could operate being on these things because I was flowing. No pain, nothing. Pain pill, pain pill, pain pill, alcohol, alcohol, bad decisions ensue. So from that point, that's where everything went south for me. That jump really changed the trajectory of my life and changed the trajectory of my military career. Because again, I wanted to be the tip of the spear, right? I wanted to go through SF selection. Maybe somewhere down the road, there was a chance of being a Delta operator. But yeah, those dreams were crushed at that point. It was done. At least I thought, right? I'm 19. I don't, I got a bad back now. What am I going to do with this? So,
and there was no kind of treatment for it. Huh? It was just like they couldn't it was just needed to kind of heal on its own, and it was gonna,
that was the thought.
Yep.
Right. And I didn't want to vocalize it because I've seen guys vocalize injuries and how they got treated. So then it got to the gnarliness of, okay, pain pills, I'm drinking, and I'm fighting in the barracks now. And I'm fighting NCOs, and I'm fighting off base, and I'm stealing from the PX. I'm just doing dumb shit. I was so numb. I just getting through the day. So I get kicked out of Ranger Battalion. Right there, I was just.
Did you have a couple warnings prior to that?
No, because some of that behavior was kind of tolerated.
Sure.
Right? You got a lot of alpha males around. Everyone's, peacocking. They want to see who's. So scrum fighting was kind of part of the culture,
Was there like this one thing that like, what was there a straw that broke the camel's back type of thing?
Yeah. This is the first time I'm ever going to say this.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no. So we went and did a training mission. We went to Yakima, Washington. And again, being in the Gustav section, we had to keep a loom on the objective for like 5 minutes. And there's a loom rounds in the Gustav. And you got to dial them in the whole 9 yards. You shoot them up and it looms the entire thing.
Okay.
So imagine you have 4 Gustav gunners set next to each other, and there's a ton of concussion and backblast area that happens. And we're literally and the light just looks like it's day because all these loom rounds are up, so we can have the tactical teams go in and clear the town, right? So we get done with this training mission, and we are all walking out of there with bloody noses, bloody ears, and just hunched over because all the concussion that we were getting. So I'm in pain. We get back to Fort Lewis, and I'm just popping pills and drinking. Look at my bank account. I'm negative. I'm like, fuck. I'm negative. I don't get paid for another 2 weeks. What am I going to do? Back then, we didn't have cell phones. We had beepers.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How am I going to get a hold of my mom? Well, at the PX, they sold these little cards, kind of like gift cards today, that you unravel, gives you a pin. You go to the payphone, boop, 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 call mom. I'm broke. And I'm fucking high as a kite. Walk into the PX, walk straight to this thing, grab 3 or 4 phone cards, put it in my pocket, walk out the front. Game fucking over.
Yeah.
They got me. They're like, dude, what are you doing? They knew I was fucked up. They're like, we have to arrest you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, man. Yeah, whatever. Do your thing. Didn't care. They take me back to battalion. My whole squad's outside. And I knew it. I was like, oh man, I'm really going to hurt now. So once you're an outcast, right?
Yeah, that's your brotherhood.
It's on. Now they're going to fucking treat you. They're going to make an example out of you. So a lot of trauma there because the way I was treated was not well. But at the same time, right? I was like, I deserve this. I fucked up. Failure equals punishment. Let's go. So they fucked with me for probably 2 months.
Fuck.
Made an example out of me because there's so much shit going on at battalion that I think they needed to use somebody to say, keep fucking around. You're going to be like this guy. I ended up getting pulled Monday morning. First Sergeant Grippy is his name. This dude's massive. I ended up getting pulled out in front of the entire company formation. And I can hear one guy as I'm running through. And he's like, they're going to murder this dude. They're going to kill him in front of the whole company. So I get in front of the company for Sergeant Crippy and he's yelling. He's like, yeah, we had a ranger that embarrassed us this fucking weekend. Bop, 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 bop. You want to tell your brothers what you did? I was like, I stole some calling cards to call mom because I'm fucking broke. That's not an excuse. And bop, bop, bop. Get back in formation. After that, game time. I just got fucked with from 1 hour to the next hour, from mopping floors to the one that I laugh about. I got hung outside, second story window in a fart sack, which is a sleeping bag.
Fart sack.
I call it a fart sack.
Such a fart sack.
So I'm hanging there, duct taped in this fart sack, upside down. I have to recite the Ranger Creed, and it's Fort Lewis, Washington, so it's fucking raining. And I'm hanging outside this window to recite the Ranger Creed in order for them to pull me up. That's just kind of one of the fucked up things that I went through. But I almost laughed at it. It was like, I can do this. Like, you guys ain't going to bring any pain that I haven't felt before. Let's go. So I ended up getting in a pretty large tussle with an NCO to the point where I told him, I said, you pull a knife on me again, I'm going to fucking kill you.
So he pulled a knife on you.
Yeah, he was drunk. It was like a Friday night or some shit like that. And I think that was the camel's back where Ranger Battalion's like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. We've made an example of him enough. Like now it's dudes are starting to cross lines.
Yeah. So
I leave Ranger Battalion, and I go down to the street to the 100, we call it Deuce 4, Electric Strawberry. They're 125th Infantry Division out of Hawaii, but they have a small contingent, battalion up in Fort Lewis. And here I am. I signed up as 11 Bravo, regular grunt. That's where I'm going to end my career, regular grunt. I was there for maybe 8 months, 9 months, and I got out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, I felt at 21-ish, I was probably 21. I got to get back home. I got to get grounded again. I got to figure this out because what I thought this was going to be and where I'm at are two different stories. I didn't realize, hey, dude, talk about this. Go get back surgery and then maybe retry, go back through some stuff. Your career's not over. To me, it was over. It was done. I didn't want to do it anymore.
So obviously you take the pain pill addiction with you.
Mm-hmm.
How does that come? Like, how do you, what does that look like? How do you find a job? Was your mom supporting you? Like,
it's sad because I don't think my mom had the tools to try to figure that out. I just remember her always saying, I don't know who you are, but I lost my baby. And I was angry. I was fucking pissed off. I was mad. And so what does that turn into? I was really good at fighting, really good at it. So pound per pound, I was probably the toughest bar brawler in Montana for about 10 years. Oh, I created a reputation that was not good. And I got friends to this day that talk about the shit that I did. And they're like, dude, you were one of the wildest dudes we've ever met. Like I never started a fight, but I finished them, and I finished them with some brutality. So that's what I did. I just continued the path of let's take pain pills. Let's just keep drinking. I think now where I'm at, I can reflect back, and maybe it was, I didn't care. If you killed me, I didn't give a shit because I was in so much pain and just negative space and negative self-talk that I was like, someone breaks my neck in a bar, done, whatever. I don't have to feel this shit anymore. So I think that's probably why I was so good at the bar fighting, because it didn't matter to me.
Yeah. Did you ever consider getting into fighting professionally or anything like that? Or did you just enjoy the bar room scene?
I like the bar stuff.
Yeah. A little dirty.
Yeah, a little dirty.
Not that you fought dirty, but the whole, I want to be clear about that.
Yeah. But I think, again, I'm in Billings, Montana. And this is in 99, 2000 area. But I think it was 2000 I finally got back home. So you think about it. UFC is just barely starting.
That's true.
None of this stuff is like fighters now. It's mainstream. You got MMA, you got bare knuckle boxing, you got boxing.
Dude, that's been almost 25 years. Holy shit.
Exactly. So I held on to that shit for a good portion of 23 years up until, like I said, about 2.5 years ago.
How did you get off pain pills?
I cold turkeyed that shit. I knew I was engaged to a gal, and I knew the falter of that, I was like, I got to change something. I have to change. Again, I don't have any tools. I don't know anything.
No.
So the thing I knew is like, if I go to the gym, I can get some aggression out.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that and started feeling better. Next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get off these pain pills. Let's see what I can do here.
At this point, had it like, were you on a kind of similar dosage, or were you able to scale that back, or was it more? Because I know with pain pills, generally you build a tolerance and you go from 2 to 20 before you know it.
Exactly. And I think for me, it was kind of the same thing. Like if the sciatica and the back really, things really ached up, I'd pop 10 pills without even thinking about it. And I'd have days where I wouldn't pop any because nothing hurt. So I was like, okay, you can do this, dude.
Oh, that's great.
You can get off this. Just know when you have the bad days, those are going to be 2 or 3 days that I can't tie my shoes.
Yeah.
And again, same thing. There's no foam rollers back then. There's no lacrosse balls, so I'm like, I'll stretch.
Yeah.
So slowly got off of that. But alcohol was still around. Dad was an abusive alcoholic, kind of falls through the thread line. I can drink. And drinking became more and more and more, ruined more and more relationships. So yeah, it was a continued cycle of just how much more can I beat myself up kind of a deal.
Dude.
So yeah. So that's the real tight meat and potatoes. The PX thing. First time I've ever said it. No, yeah. My wife's going to be, what the fuck, dude? You didn't tell me this. You telling Cal on his podcast?
She doesn't know.
That's how tight I've kept all this stuff. My wife didn't know up until a year, maybe 2 years ago, that I was addicted to pain pills and a huge, huge alcoholic.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge that, like you sharing that.
Appreciate that.
Feeling safe enough in this space to do that, because it is such an incredible example for people. And just from where I sit, right, if I may, I can almost say objectively, but it's not. It's subjective because it's my opinion. There's 1,000 things that you could have done that would have been way worse than that. But it's a beautiful example of something where, again, I think people listening is like, oh, dude, you just didn't have some stuff go on with a co-ed. It was, you stole some fucking phone cards.
I know it.
And I know it. Just that's on the surface. And I know that there's more that goes into it, but how many of us are holding on to little things like that are fucking eating us up? Yep.
And that's the birth of Mental Joe, right? I know there's millions of other dudes out there that are just like me. We drive the F-150. We have a Coors Light on the weekend. Yeah. Some guys way too fucking many. Yeah. And they don't realize that there's other means to get above this shit. So that's why I'm very brash and outspoken about psychedelics, because candidly, fuck the bullshit. We know they work. We know the research is there. Anybody that's in this ecosystem, we're talking about set and setting. So we want them done with therapeutic uses and integration and the whole 9 yards. So let's go. So that's where I'm at. Like, I look at money completely different now. And I look at it from a context of, oh, that could have helped 10 veterans, or that could have helped 10 other average Joes now. How do we get to a point to use capitalism, turn it on its head, don't use it for greed, use it for a purpose? And so that's the passion, that's the drive behind Mental Joe.
Dude.
That's a lot, I know.
No, it's I've got a lot of thoughts right now. Give
them to me.
Yeah. I just think the work you're doing is so important because you're actually living it like in real time right now.
Yeah. And that's the push for me to, same thing, get in physical, really good shape. I can't say, ooh, psychedelics work, and I'm still 260 pounds. I'm taking it from a very lead by example, because I want people to see proof. Pudding.
Yeah.
I rarely drink
Used to be pudding.
Used to be pudding. Not good pudding either. So I want people to see like, hey man, this guy's changing his life. I still have step backs. Yep. It's taken me 3 years to lose this weight. It wasn't overnight. I started eating right. I started pushing harder in the gym. Those negative voices, I call it the mountain. I feel like I'm on the other side of the mountain now. I can still hear the negative voices. You're not worthy. You're a piece of shit. I still hear all that. But now I'm on the other side where it's like, nah, dude, squash that. Get to the gym. Let's go.
Yeah, they're a little more faint. Mm-hmm. They're over the other side of the mountain and you're aware of them now.
Yes. So I can scale myself out of that stuff now. I can be like, no, dude, that's not who you are. Let it go. It's the past. Move forward. You're doing good things. But all these failures that are learning lessons, it's part of the story of where we're going with this stuff. So.
Well, I think an important part of that whole conversation with psychedelics and ketamine and, dude, I got a text from a friend a week ago. He's like, hey, do you have a minute? Like, yeah. Calls me, goes, look, I'm here with my friend. I know you've had experience with psychedelics, with ketamine. He's pretty fucked up right now. And, he had some underlying anxiety, maybe 6 months ago that was like really struggling with, and he had gotten to a point where it was manageable and he really wanted to move through it. So it was recommended he do ketamine session. And so I think it was going to be 6 sessions over like a couple weeks generally.
Yeah. They blow you up in ketamine the first 2 weeks. It's essentially like you'll go in on a Monday, and they'll hit you with it. You take Tuesday off. You come back in Wednesday. They hit you with it. Thursday's off, Friday. And then you have the weekend, and then boom, back Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't understand the science behind it, why they got to just load you up on that shit.
Yeah.
But they do it. And I was still on SSRIs at this time as well.
Okay.
Again, 3 years ago, it'll be next month that I almost took my life, and when I went into the cuckoo bin for 2 weeks, I told my wife at that point, I was like, something's not right in my head. Something is still off. So she started researching, and ketamine started popping up for depression and anxiety. And she's like, are you open to ketamine? I'm like, if it's petrified dog shit on the ground, I'm into it. Yeah. Because I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired. So I went and did ketamine, and that's what catapulted me forward to today. As of next week, I'll be off of all SSRIs for 7 months. Like I said, within this journey, I'm down 50 pounds and I will continue to move that forward. I eat better. I'm in the gym. I'm in a clear headspace. I've never had more purpose or drive in my life than I have right now. I'm almost angry because it's like I wasted 23 years of my life on all this bullshit. If I could have just got out of my own way and asked for help, how much more could I have done for society, for humankind, for just people in general, and myself being a better dad, a better brother, just a better human being in general.
And maybe that's what it took 23 years for you to wake up to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important part. And I think there's definitely a part of you that has gratitude for the way you grew up and the stuff you had to, endure so that you have an understanding about it because you've healed so much of that. But I get it. For me, I feel like I woke up, 5-6 years ago. It's like, fuck, but like that's, I had to, quote unquote, be asleep for that long for me to understand it.
Yep. And I feel that same way. I feel the exact same way. I'm like, I'm awake now.
Yeah.
Okay. I see things differently.
And again, you're living it. And I want to get back to 3 years ago. But before I do, I want to kind of close the loop on the ketamine thing.
Yeah.
So it had been, this guy he had a panic attack in September, and that's what triggered a lot of stuff for him.
Yeah.
So he was really wanting to heal. As he's going into his ketamine session, he has a panic attack. But he kind of fights through it. He's in the ketamine and he has a few other in the medicine. At this point, it had been 6 nights since he had the experience, and he hadn't been able to sleep. He had like crippling anxiety. He said it was like physical anxiety. There was just this depersonalization, all this stuff going on. And the reason I bring this up is the care he got sounded horrible. The doctor's like, hey, you're going to feel a little of this. And he's like, dude, I haven't fucking slept. It's just so there's the beauty of this medicine is available. The unfortunate thing is it's available.
It's available. And they're doing it wrong. And the reason I say that is I treated myself as a guinea pig on purpose. I went to 5 different ketamine clinics in Phoenix. Some were okay, some were good. Nobody was great. Not one.
Dude, 0 for 5.
Yeah. One of them offered integration, but you had to buy another package. Looked into the company, was like, people are getting certificates on the weekends. Like if you're trying to heal people, this is not the fucking way to go about this. And so for me, ketamine obviously being legal and not having to go to another country, right, is kind of the in step, I guess you would say, for a lot of these folks that are needing this. So I've been trying to partner with ketamine clinics because I've got veterans and just your average Joe's line up like, dude, like I need help. I love your story. I resonate with it. I want to try this because I want to be on the other side of the mountain too. So I've sent guys down to Mexico for Bufo retreats. But to this day, it sucks because I don't have a good ketamine clinic in Phoenix or anywhere else that I can refer people to that actually do ketamine correct with setting, and integration. So to your buddy's point, yeah, I get it. It sucks. You're going through this experience and you're kind of going through it on your own.
Yeah. And I think that was his biggest takeaway, and my friend he's had an experience with ayahuasca, and he's like, my buddy is just by himself, where you go through that ayahuasca experience, you're with a group of people, and afterwards you have all this connection because even though you're in your own experience, you're in it together. So there's that community piece, which I think is one of the beautiful things that you're doing with Mental Joe, is building that community. And I know it's not specifically for ketamine, but I hear you. Like, we have a place here in Austin called Kuya, not a ketamine clinic, but under the right, circumstances and profile, like you may qualify, but they are super careful about who they would ever offer it to. There's a big screening.
Yeah.
And then they're, not that I've gone through that experience, but I know the people who work there. I know their experience in the integration space, and it's outstanding.
See, we need more ketamine clinics that are like that are actually not there for the greed and the money portion of it.
Because ketamine is pretty cheap to buy.
Super cheap. For a session, I don't think you should pay more than $350. And you should have some integration on that.
Yes.
You have people are charging $600 to $1,000 for a session. And I'm like, you're stealing from people.
It's
outrageous. And you're not doing it correctly.
Yeah. So anybody listening, just like you did, do your research, find out, kind of follow the money. How are these people being trained? And really talk to people who've gone through the experience at different clinics, and take your time with it, because you don't want it to have the experience like, my friend's buddy had, and he's, finally picking up the pieces, but I've connected him with
those people,
the right people to work on the integration.
He is on that other side then. He's slowly getting there.
Yeah. Like I talked to him the next day, and he finally had an okay night's sleep, and he got outside, and it was just, he got grounded, but there was the doctor gave him nothing.
No, because most of them don't know, sadly, right? They're doctors, they're anesthesiologists. Like, they don't understand the mind, gut, spirit, all that connection. They're just there. Oh, I'll put you under and good luck.
Yeah. This stuff is great. Look at what the research says. It's like, brother, there's as we were talking about before we got on, like the space holders, that shaman-like quality of really guiding people, not only in the experience, but afterwards.
Yep.
And we know that's the juice.
That's the afterwards. It's afterwards. It's not during that session.
The session can be cool as shit.
For sure.
And it can be really harrowing, but it's really the work is done afterwards.
Yep. Most of my aha moments were always a couple days after, if not weeks after, of just connecting dots, like the safe space I talk about. Fuck, I realized I never grew up in a safe space. No shot at my mom or anything else. It's just, I was always fighting out of that corner.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that till like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Isn't that
Holy
something?
Shit, man. Yeah.
Yeah. What else am I to uncover?
Exactly.
And then it's hard to be vulnerable when you feel like you're going to be attacked at any moment.
Any moment. Yep. So yeah, a lot of that taught me to box out of the corner. And again, I was pretty good at it for a while.
Yeah. It served you well. And so there's what I've learned is I have some of those patterns in my life where, I can be invisible, because there was, some challenges maybe growing up where, I didn't want to be seen or heard. And so that shows up in other areas, and that can be useful. And it can also be a real detriment to my relationship with my wife.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, don't get rid of it. Just learn to work with it. And when the right time to do that.
I call it my asshole volume.
Yes.
Like, it kind of stays about a 5.
Yeah.
But I can turn this bitch up to 20 if we need to.
Yes.
I'd rather not go there, but we can.
But it's there.
It's there. So, yeah.
So, are you comfortable talking about 3 years ago?
100%. 100%. Here we go. We went over to a friend's house for dinner. And it's me, my wife, and a friend that she's known for her entire life, essentially. And some political talk went on, some just ecosystem. We're in COVID. Everyone's in lockdown.
Oh, that's right.
Everyone's, on pins and needles anyways. And drinking was going on heavily.
Which is very common during COVID.
Yep. And I knew better. I fucking knew better. And some things were said, and I feel my wife didn't have my back. So I'm like, this is your friend. He's poking the bear, and you're not saying anything. So I left. And I left her there. I got to get out of the situation. I got to get home, because what will go next is I'll put this dude's head through the fucking kitchen table. And it's her friend. I'm going to give her that space.
Sure. Good.
So I leave and I go home, and I'm fuming. And I'm at home, and I'm trying to calm down. I'm trying to, get centered, the whole 9 yards. Meanwhile, I don't hear from my wife. 1 hour turns into 2 hours. 2 hours turns into 3 hours. And she finally comes home. Boys are sleeping. And we're at each other's throat. She pushes me. My reaction is immediate. Boom. I push her. She falls to the ground. And immediately is like, what the fuck did I just do? You have a woman that you love, that understands your shortcomings, and you did this. I walk into our bedroom. Pull the gun out of the safe. Walk down the hall. I'm staring her in the eyes. It's loaded. Trigger's probably a pound pulled, depending upon. There was tension there. And we're just staring at you. We're almost nose to nose. She sees the gun here. I'm looking at her. And then all of a sudden, everything stopped. It was like I almost had an outer body experience. Like I felt like I could see myself holding this gun. And it's like, I knew it was seconds, but everything just paused. And I kind of came to, I looked at the gun. My office is right there. I walked in the office, shucked around, and a round came out. I'm like, oh, fuck, I had that chambered. Still have the bullet on my desk. Walked back, put the gun in the safe. She's on the phone with sheriff's department. I walk outside. I set up my truck because I knew what was next. And the sheriffs, they come up, thankfully. I had, at that night, I had my 2nd Ranger Battalion shirt on. Big scroll across my chest. These sheriffs pop out, 3 of them out of the 5 were all in Ranger Battalion. And they're like, "You okay, brother?" I'm like, and I was embarrassed because, I'm thinking, oh, I stole cards. I got kicked out. I'm not really a brother. I'm a shithead. They're like, "You okay?" I said, "No, man, I need some help." And so from that point, that's where I went into the psych center for 2 weeks. At that point, that's when I started having realizations of like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why is my head spinning like this? Why is this only out thinking that I'm going to kill myself? And at that point, I was tired. I was fucking wore out. For those of you listening that, you've got that negative mindset, it never shuts off. I had every argument, every response that ever could happen to any situation. Because I figured, if you come at me, I have a response already ready because I'm tired of being hurt. So I'm going to make sure I put you in the grave before you put me in the grave. That was my mentality. So go to the psych, was there for 2 weeks. And like I said, told the wife, we got to change something. It's not you. It's not anybody else. It's me. I have to figure me out. So we found ketamine, and that was kind of the catapult to a cleaner, clear, better version of myself. Again, no integration coaches, nothing. I've literally done this. I don't want to say on my own because I have my wife next to me. I've literally done this on my own. I've done the talk therapy. I'm tired of ripping Band-Aids off. I don't want to repeat these fucking stories. I know what's going on. So as I'm doing ketamine, I'm connecting all these dots, right? That's where Mental Joe was launched. That's where I relive the night of me burning in. One of my intentions for a session was, where did I steer wrong in life? What happened? And in the middle of that ketamine session, that's where it all came through. I relived that night. I was like, oh, that's it. Burnt in, popped pills, became an alcoholic, and off to the races to being a shithead. So that night, it's just, it replays and it replays and it replays, but now at a softer, slower pace. Recently, my wife and I, we did an MDMA session. And for those of you that understand that medicine was actually used for couples counseling back in the day and is still used to this day, and hopefully MAPS will get this shit legalized and we can heal a lot of couples. I always knew I knew my wife loved me, but I never felt it. I'm a physical guy like most dudes are. 4 love languages out there for you guys. You need to read the book if you haven't. Physical touch is my number 1. So I never got the hugs or laying on the couch and having her hold my hand or anything like that. So I thought she hated me. So we had to have a hard conversation. I said, I don't feel that you love me because of, you're not holding me. There's no intimacy, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, I know. She goes, I don't know what it is. There's something going on with me that doesn't allow me to love you fully, essentially. So we went through the MDMA session and it was her time. During that time, I could see her crying. I could see her. And me, it was like I just had a glass of water. I was golden. Like nothing was going on for me during this. And at that point, I was like, I need to go over, hold her hand, apologize, talk to her. And then I went outside and let her go through some body stuff with the space holder. And that was it. That was it. She knew it. She came outside. She's like, I think I'm done. I love you again. So the safe space, I ruined that for her. The old fight, flight, and freeze, right? She's been frozen for 3 years. That was because of me. So yeah, a lot of healing. As you can see, we're still in it. But I took that safe space from her. And I hate myself for that. But we're there. Like this last month, I've been closer to my wife than I think even when we're dating. We are so in tune now. We're like a well-oiled machine. If I can feel the energy that she's tense and something's going on, like I don't play pity pat with it anymore. I call it out. Like, what's wrong? I can feel the energy. I feel you're tense. What do you need? She's like, well, XYZ, XYZ. Okay, that's fair. I get it. I apologize. So I really own my shit now. How can I get that safe space back? How can I be a better partner from you? What can I take off your plate so you can go find your best self as well? So again, it's that fuck, you got to go through a lot of pain before you can really figure some of this shit out. And I'm happy where we're at now. And I only see more positives for Mental Joe and for us as a couple and everything else. But I never understood what I did that night and how long she held on to it for. And she didn't know, right? Her explanation was, I've been so tight for so long because I didn't know if you're going to have another episode. And it was like an aha moment of like, dude, you took that safe space where she could be herself. You have to go earn that again. So that was 3 years ago this coming of May. Yeah.
Is there a part of you, first of all, before I go there, thank you. Wow. That's real courage. I know your brothers back in the battalion would be really proud of you right now. That is big, big stuff. So thanks for showing up for everybody and yourself.
Yeah. Thanks for having the space. I can let it go.
Good. I wonder if there's a part of you, a little part of you, maybe a bigger part, that has a bit of gratitude for what on the surface seems like a pretty tough situation.
Yeah.
But there's an outcome where you're closer to the woman you love than ever before. Yeah. Is there a part of you that can feel that?
Yeah, I can feel that. And I know that now. It's like, okay, that was then. Let's focus on the now, how we build to move forward. So yeah, there's gratitude, but there's still that slippery slope that I still beat myself up over it. You know, again, right? Softer echoes. But yeah, there's some gratitude to that now.
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like she's I don't like to use the word forgiven, but she's accepted what's happened. And is that a fair statement or?
Yeah, more than that. Yeah, 100%. Because as I open up more and more, she's realizing like, dude, this dude is fucking broken. And she saved me. Plain and simple, she has saved me. Even when we were first dating, I almost fucked that up too. Right? Like, oh, there's some gal winking at me. Maybe I'll go check this out over here because I'm not getting the attention here. So same thing. I almost fucked this relationship up in the very beginning as well. You know, just repeat patterns. But to the core, I mean, she's a fucking rock star. And she's so even keel about stuff. She's my devil's advocate on everything. Yeah, she is. She doesn't, She doesn't hear it enough, I don't think, from the outskirts, but I try to champion for her all the time. She has some of her self-doubts. When we went through that MDMA session, she realized that there were some past relationships and even some family stuff that kind of came up that she was like, I was holding on to all this, and that didn't allow me to love you on top of the bullshit I brought to the table. So it's been beautiful to see unfold completely, and seeing how much to the core we are, as far as just fucking good people trying to do right, trying to spread this word of stop living in the gray and the muck and stop repeating patterns. And again, own your shit. Let's talk about it. Because like you said, we go to the core of this. Everyone's full of bullshit. Everyone's got some trauma or something going on. And if we can all talk about it, you will realize that there's more in common with all of us than we are as a separate species of humankind idiots on this planet.
Yeah. I wonder what it would mean for you if you were able to forgive yourself.
I think I'm close. I think the people that reach out to us in DMs, the people that email us, and me hearing from them, because you're so authentic, because you do share your story, because you are being vulnerable and you talk about ketamine or your psilocybin or your MDMA experience, that I went and tried ketamine. Guess what, Chet? My life has changed now. I am a better human being. So I think as I get those are my confirmations of it's okay to forgive yourself. You're helping change other people's lives by being vulnerable and talking about this shit that needs to be talked about. So I'm close. I think I'm pretty close.
Yeah, I say the reason I ask is I know that in my experience, when my wife has forgiven me, or again, accepted what has happened.
Yeah.
When I don't accept it, the energy of that is still present.
Mm-hmm.
And it repeats itself in little subtle ways, but for us, it keeps, it keeps that barrier up. And I, as much as I don't want to go into this old pattern,
mm-hmm.
it's actually me bringing it to the table.
Yes.
And so I know that a lot of my own work is around true acceptance, and it's fucking hard.
It's super hard. It's because you remember those patterns that you used to create and how big of a shithead you were. And you know that little demon still inside you.
Yeah.
So if you make a wrong choice, it could be that quick.
Yeah.
But I feel I have such a good foundation of where I'm at now, and knowing where I'm going as a human, knowing where I'm going with our company, knowing where I'm going with my wife, and even more important, a father.
Mm.
When my boys, I'm human, right? I'm going to yell at my boys, and there's times I've lost my shit. Not recently, but I've owned it to the point of I get on a knee, I face them eye to eye, and I say, buddy, Dad's not in a good headspace. I shouldn't have yelled at you that way. I shouldn't have blipped you on the head. Like, my bad, brother. I'm sorry. And it's immediate followed up with, it's okay, Dad. I love you, and a hug. And we're off to the races. I never got that. So I know I'm breaking that cycle by just how I parent and how I father now. As adults, we cruise, right? We can kind of manage our stuff. My boys, like any other boys, 100 miles an hour, destroy shit. And they're up 15 hours, right? You get up, you're going to school, and at night they're weary, man. They're tired. They're mouthing off. They're probably crossing some lines. And I know my mom doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, you need to jump on them. I'm like, nah,
That's right.
Hold on. I'm 45 fucking years old. I can't control my emotions when I'm tired.
Yeah.
He's 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him cross the line a little bit because I know nighttime's right there and he's going to reset and he'll be better in the morning. Yeah. So I'm going to allow some bandwidth for them to be a little mouthy or screw up a little bit more because I'm not going to beat them up over that. They're tired too. So just subtle changes even like that in my parenting and understanding that I need to hold safe space for them. If they're little assholes, we go to the room, I shut the door and I sit there. You want to throw stuff? You want to scream? Get it out. Get it out. And 9 times out of 10, it ends up with them on our lap cuddling and they're done. It's an emotion. Let them get it out. I think our generation was, kids are not to be heard. They're only, to be seen.
Oh, yeah.
So same thing. Like, hey, man, I'm not going to do that to you. Go ahead and get it out. Let it loose. So I know the foundations have already changed and changed within 3 years.
That's significant. I think that part of parenting really resonates with me as well. And my wife has, doesn't say it so much anymore, but when the kids were younger, and I think it was from Brian Post, but he's not giving you a hard time, he's having a hard time. Mm-hmm. And so to really just remember that they are like us and generally less likely to be able to understand what they're going through. Yeah. If we give them a safe space to express it and maybe get curious about what's underneath it. And we can't always figure it out, but just to let them know that it's okay.
Yep.
Because there will be some expression of it. And it's important.
With your kids being older, how are those conversations now that we both grew up in a world that wasn't techie? So now we're in a techie world and, being that your kids are older, how does that work now? What does that look like to you as far as that parenting aspect? Because again, they are young adults at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the tech thing is something that we had to accept. Like, look, it ain't going away. So how can we help them manage it and kind of do the best we can without being, super, kind of authoritative, like, I'm not finding the right word, but I want to say militant. It's not militant, but.
Do you feel like you guide from the sideline a little bit more now that they're older, more of like a sheep herder?
Yeah, I try to let them have their own experience and be there to give feedback. And sometimes there are rules to be followed. There are rules of the house. Yep. But kind of let them play a little bit with the boundaries. And sometimes that goes really well and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, was I just a little too lax with it? Or did they just really overstep there when I was pretty clear? And it's such a dance that, again, my oldest is 20. My youngest is almost 16. Like we've been in it for a while. I know this is what we signed up for. Mm-hmm. And today things could be going great with this particular boundary. And then tomorrow it's just like I completely misread the situation. Mm-hmm. So it's just like being kind of
target.
Yeah. It's being active with it and being curious. And again, with them, there's other stuff underneath that, younger kids don't have. And so it's like this is the delicate balance. It's being curious without being nosy. Mm-hmm. And whether they have a relationship with someone, of the opposite sex. And it's like, we've gotten grief for this lately. Like, God, you guys want to be all up in our business. And it's like, I just care about you. And I want to know like what it is about, like what, like, I just want to know who you are. And so that's feedback from them. Like that's too much.
Yeah.
Maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe we're riding in the car and there's an opening and then, so it's being patient around that because it's important to me to get to know my kids.
Yeah. I think the one thing we have, at least I think, is now with technology and all these documentaries, it's a learning tool. I can use that to say, hey boys, you can make some really shitty decisions and go down this path. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
So it's a real-time learning. It's kind of an aha thing I had, like use the technology to prove some points, to show some past patterns or stories of other people. So you can kind of give that to them in their pocketbook. Like, okay, maybe I don't need to do this.
And I think it is important because it's real easy to just swear off how technology has fucked up these kids and made it really hard. It has made it really hard. I mean, I think you brought that up earlier, and I think that's an important thing to recognize, that it's a bit unfair on some level, but this is the time that they chose to incarnate. And this is what they're here for. So what can we do? Not demonize it, but just help them have some kind of nuance and discernment around it. And again, they're going to test all their boundaries just like we did in our different ways without the technology, but just understand they're fucking curious. And you know, it's weird. Like it's like creating a safe space sometimes creates leaky boundaries. And so that's the real dance for us, is how can I let them know that all this curiosity is great and we expect it. We don't know how it's going to show up because we didn't grow up in this way that, you know, that they have with technology. But, you know, I don't want to shame them if they kind of fuck up in some way.
You're learning, right?
Yeah.
There's a Jordan Peterson kind of meme kind of thing out there that really resonated with me. And I feel bad that I kind of fucked the first 2 years up with my older son, right? Because I was stealing this shit. But, you know, children, right? They're only 4 one time. And so now I look at that, like my son says, let's go outside and play catch. My old me would be like, no, I'm tired. My body hurts. I'm not going. Man, there's days I don't even want to get off the couch. I'm in pain. And I'm like, nope, we're going. So I'm like, there will be a point in time he will not ask me to play catch. So I'm going to do it. And we're going to live present. And we're going to go play. And I'll walk through the pain. And we're going to be okay. So little things like that are out there, right? That people don't realize. Like, they're little one time. That's it, man. Once they hit teenage, you're lucky. They're coming around for dinner, showers, and they're out.
You're lucky if they're hitting showers, in my experience. Yeah.
So yeah, some of those foundational things has slowed me down in that regard too, to parent and be present with them. And if we're on trips and things go awry, it's okay.
Yeah.
Part of the trip, man. So what, we got a flat tire. We'll fix it. Yeah. Where before, a flat tire would have ruined my entire fucking day, if not the trip.
Yeah.
Now it's like, nah, it's just a little blip in the road. It's part of the experience. Let's roll.
Yeah, it's that acceptance piece. It's those little nuggets of acceptance that we get offered, and are we gonna take them, or are we gonna get back in and fight? And and I'm learning to I don't always know. Yeah, I'm learning to keep that sword in the sheath. Yeah,
right? Doesn't need to come out, man. Let it go.
All right, let's kind of land the plane here. I want to talk about Mental Joe Apparel and where you, and we talked about it before we got on, but like, where do you see this growing to?
Big, to be honest with you. Again, we're not even a year at this. I call it like, you know, you go into a museum, right? You see a history timeline of Ford Motor Company or something like that. I see that. And I know a lot of people are going, this dude's, what is he talking about? He's a tiny little t-shirt hoodie company right now. But I always say someone started someplace, right? You look at these other companies, you know, Ranger Up and Grunt Style and guys like that, right? They started just hawking t-shirts as well. These guys are, you know, a couple $1 million, 10, 20, if not more in profit. So that's where I look for the t-shirt hoodie portion to be. This is always going to kind of be our in your face psychedelics. Let's talk about it line. Yeah. But we really want to create like what I call a poor man's Lululemon. People love athleisure wear, right? People will wear it. This ecosystem's growing. There's no real brand or clothing line that talks to this ecosystem. And we want it still to be about mental health. And as we grow, we want these profits to be for a purpose, meaning maybe there's a retreat for moms that have postpartum and they need to get out of their own way. Maybe they go to that retreat and it's a psilocybin retreat in Colorado because it's, you know, legal for therapies up there now. That's what we want to do with this. I really see this being a poor man's Lululemon, real clean line. I've already got the logo. I've already got the name. We're starting to trademark all this stuff. So there's a guy out of Minnesota. They run this company called WSI Sports, and WSI Sports actually has designed and come up with different t-shirts and things of that nature for pro athletes. He works with all the MLB teams. He works with all the NFL teams. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, we team up with these guys. We could create a whole Mental Joe athleisure wear, and we could be off to the races. And I think we could launch this so much faster. Like I said, I'm trying to get a team built behind us. It's the whole get a website, get a marketing team. And if I can get that, we're gone. The information that we've gotten, just market feedback on our t-shirts, from designs to the feel of just the t-shirt itself and our hoodies, like that hoodie you have on there.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's an all organic hoodie. It's made just outside of San Francisco from a little company up there that we're hoping to partner with. And it's right here in the United States.
Yeah.
Little higher end price point on that hoodie than I'd like to be, but it's clean. It's comfortable. I'm going to put it out nicely. So I want Mental Joe to go to the moon.
What comes to mind is no bull.
Yes, 100%.
Right? That feels 100%. Like, and you're just taking a different track with it.
Mm-hmm. I love No Bull. There's a lot of other companies out there like Unreal, Legends, Bird Dogs, things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
We're just, like you said, we're in another direction. And that's kind of what I see. I've got the company already, like I said, trademarked, the name, the whole 9 yards. But that's where we want to go with this. And you look where No Bull started, right? I mean, now these guys are at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I know.
These guys are doing the CrossFit games. I mean, holy shit.
I feel like the first time I heard about it, it felt like years ago, but was with CrossFit. Some people were wearing, I don't know if they came out with sneakers first or if it was just apparel.
It was sneakers. Sneakers was their kind of go-in because I'm a Reebok's Nano guy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I love Nano, but No Bull is, love it. But the price point for me, I'm like, it's a little hard to choke that.
I've never bought a pair. What did they run?
You're looking $145, $160.
Yeah.
And I get it. They're nice shoes.
Those are Air Jordan prices.
That's it, man. That's it. So yeah, when I look at companies like them, I'm like, we can do this. I know we can do this. I've already seen the timeline we're going. I'm just building the foundation and we're just building the story and we're just trying to grow our network. Again, that's why I say like guys like you that, allow to open up this space for us to come talk about this. Because candidly, I have Tom, Dick, and Harry to everybody, DMs, emails, and I'm like, hey man, can I just send you some shirts? And I will get the Heisman pose from a lot of people. Yeah. And sadly, that veteran community, which sucks.
Yeah.
Because there's some, if you want to go hierarchy, if you will, right? There's some guys that are up there. And hey man, wear a shirt. We're on the same bus. You're doing it via here. I'm doing it via apparel. You got the network. Just wear a shirt for me, bro. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, but same thing, right? Part of the story, part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's one more no to a yes. So I don't take it so hard that I used to.
Sure.
I used to take that super personal. Now I'm like, nope. Next, no. Give me the no's. It's all numbers.
Yep.
Give me my 20 no's so I can get my one yes.
Yeah.
So.
And you've had, you've really stepped into the fight game. You've had some people representing.
Huge. Yeah. Cody Crowley just fought for the title eliminator 2 weeks ago in Vegas, and Mental Joe made its pay-per-view logo spots on Showtime.
Yes.
Which was wild. I'm literally sitting in this audience.
That had to be crazy.
With apparel that I did for his fight team, and Rob, who's his nutritious, is sitting over here. And so they all got apparel. His family got apparel. And I'm sitting in a boxing arena full of people and I'm crying.
Yes.
My wife's like, let it out. Yes. Let it go. You deserve this. Enjoy the win. So to see that under the lights in under a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we have something here. And again, we have bare knuckle boxer guys that I've literally sent stuff across the pond that they used my Buffalo design as their walkout shirt.
That's so cool.
So I know we're on the right path. I know we have the right message. We just got to tighten the shot group a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. And I know where we're at. But yeah, it's pretty freaking cool to see, man. And all these designs you see on our shirt come from my little silly ass head.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of sketch them out and I'll bullet point a lot of it. And then I've got a graphic designer that kind of tightens everything up and vector files it and does all that so I can, do screen printing and, patches and all that kind of stuff. So it's fun because now I feel again, right? Like I said previous, I'm getting back to that dude from high school that everybody liked, that was creative, but didn't know what creative tool I could use to express myself. I've always loved apparel. Boom. Win-win.
Yeah.
Let's go. So that's where we're at, man. That's where we're at.
It's so rad. What kind of, you got hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you've got rash guards. And
Rash guards right now, we're partnering with Phalanx. So for all my BJJ guys that are out there, Phalanx is the number one no-gi kind of apparel for jiu-jitsu guys. So we put some of our designs on there. So that way some of our MMA guys, our jiu-jitsu roller guys can, still support our brand while they're doing their sport. So yeah, it's like I said, we're that t-shirt hoodie company that's starting to kind of branch out, but we're waiting for all the right setting. So we can launch the athleisure wear down the road. It's always that, capital drives everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get that, as soon as we have, I know where we're going to go with this. And if we build a solid team behind us, there's no way. Like I already see the factory. I already see the building space and the people that work for us. Part of their health insurance is I'm going to build a yoga studio into it. I'm going to have cold plunge at our place. And once a year, they're going to have a full paid retreat if they want to go do that. That's part of what we do for their mental health. So the structure of the whole company, everything, it's there. It's already dialed in. I see it. We're good.
Yeah.
We just got to get there now.
Yeah. Just you let go of the how and when and just let it unfold.
Yep. Which normally before never would have done that.
No.
I would have quit 1,700 times by now. I would have quit because we've had some flubs, and I look at it, I'm like, no, you learned. That was an expensive journey on that hat that you tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
But shit, we tried it. It didn't work. Okay. I'll just give them away to buddies, or okay, we'll tighten this shot group in here to go ahead and move this thing forward. So it's fun because I'm learning every single day because I didn't know anything about apparel. I love apparel, but I didn't know jack shit about it. So that was the biggest, scariest part. I know nothing about this stuff and I'm going to go play this game. All right, screw it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that now I have that self-confidence starting to come back up of like, you got the drive, you got the work ethic. Let's go now. Let's just make it happen. So.
Okay, before we get to how people can find you, I did want to touch on one thing that you mentioned earlier with the postpartum, and I know that your wife Carrie has experienced that, and that is also part of like this mental health that is, unfortunately, it's very much kept.
It's kept under wraps.
Yeah,
no one wants to talk about it. As soon as my wife opened up about her postpartum, you couldn't believe how many women were just emailing her like, oh, you microdose. Shit. Help a girl out. Same thing. So we're building this community of people that resonate with us that go, okay, I love it. I love it. I love it all. But we don't have the purple hair and, I'm not at Burning Man every single year. Right. Love all that.
Well, that's like an interesting point to bring up. It's like for the average Joes.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yep. So there's a point where they're like, okay, I get where these guys at. I see where their relationship's going. I see this guy losing weight. I see this guy, he's happier. He's more joyful to be around. I'm interested. So
what exactly does it look like to be a part of the community?
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of something again. Like I did CrossFit way back in the day, tore my shoulder to shit.
Of course.
Left CrossFit. So I was still earning for that community. Now that I'm here and everyone that's in this ecosystem, we all get it, right? To some degree, we all get the mental health aspect. We all get that we are better people by going through retreats or things of that nature and speaking up to not only erase the psychedelic stigma, but erase the mental health stigma along with it and saying these things can help. You don't need to play the big pharma game.
Beautiful. How can people find you?
We are mentaljoe.com. That's our website. We got all of our social links on there. My wife is mainly the social media guru. I hate it, but love it.
Understood.
We are at Mental Joe Apparel on Facebook and Instagram. That's really kind of our mainstays. I've got a YouTube page, but I haven't really messed with that a whole lot. The other platforms, I'm just that old dog, no new trick type stuff. So eventually we'll probably get on, the TikToks and all that kind of stuff. But these two formats I know we can work with pretty well. So.
Perfect. We'll link to all that in the show notes. Okay. But I'm so glad you're here, man. Thanks for sharing everything you shared today. It was amazing, and it's going to help so many people. And the work you're doing, just beautiful.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, thanks for having us, and thanks for opening this space and being in that yes space.
Hell yeah.
Time. I love it, man. So thank you so much.
Man.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.